Hello and good afternoon. Rebecca Lloyd here from Fair Business Australia, which you already know because you are sitting on the platform watching me right now. I am checking in, letting you know that last night at Logan, it was an absolutely stellar event, hot on the heels of Sunshine Coast, which was another stellar event. We have thousands and thousands of business owners that are like-minded, that are loyal, that are wanting to rebuild Australia one small business at a time. Now, having conversations with some of these small business owners and really looking at what we're moving forward to with the December the 17th mandates, it really boils down to two things. And I spoke last night about one of them, which is pivot. As an entrepreneur or as a business owner, you already know very, very well how to pivot. And the tension in pivoting is actually pre-decision. You're weighing up all the different things. Often it's damage control because a lot of us have stayed in the startup phase for an extended period of time for various reasons, and not always your own fault. And certainly what's happened over the last 20 months with small business distress is absolutely not small businesses' fault to a large degree. So you already know how to pivot, and the tension is pre-decision. And once you make a decision, you then step firmly into that and you go with that. And then you make another pivot. And it's all about pivoting every step of the way. Now, as small business owners, we have had to pivot a lot over the last 20 months. And now we come to a position where we have to, number two, we're pivoting, but number two, we have to count the cost. And in this short video, I want you to have, as a business owner or as an employee, I want you to have a really, really solid think about counting the cost. Because either way you move right now, either decision that you make, there is going to be a cost involved. There is not a single decision right now that you could make that would cost you nothing, okay? So the way I look at it, there are three things that you could do right now coming up to December the 17th. Number one, you could do nothing. Number two, you could comply. Or number three, you could push back, and may I add, push back legally. Now let's look at the cost analysis of number one as an employer. You do nothing. Okay, you just avoid the whole thing. Well, you're probably going to end up either getting shut down, or a customer's going to dob you in, or something like that. And you are going to have to actually address it, because business doesn't run itself. You are going to have to make a decision. And unfortunately, with these mandates, there is no fence sitting. The government has made it that way. We haven't made it that way. We are fine with bodily autonomy, vaxxed or unvaxxed. Don't really care. That's not my business. My business is my business. Let me do my business. So number one, doing nothing, it is going to cost you, and it is probably going to cost the next generation because you're doing nothing. Number two, you could comply. Now that is going to cost you. You think to yourself, if I comply and get my staff vaccinated, then I can just do business and we'll be fine. So all these anti-vaxxers and people like that, they just need to get over themselves. Let's just all go and get the jab so we can get on with it. Well, may I remind you that we were supposed to flatten the curve for 2 weeks before we got on with it in March of last year, and that didn't pan out so well. Just take a look at New South Wales and Victoria, how long they have been continuously locked down for. There was a cost to complying with a 2-week flatten the curve lockdown. And there will be a cost right now for getting your staff vaccinated so that you can continue on. And that is going to go one of two ways. It is either going to go, God forbid, I hope that this doesn't happen to anybody out there. However, we're seeing now anecdotally that it is happening, and it's happening more than we would like to see. Your staff are either going to have varying degrees of adverse reactions, possibly, to this jab. And what you need to understand is that government and big pharmaceuticals are actually fully indemnified. They are not going to be responsible for paying for these out-of-pocket expenses that employees or yourself may incur if they get an adverse reaction from the jab. So who is going to foot the bill? It's either going to be you directly out of pocket, or later on, if the government changes their mind, it's going to be your tax dollars paying, which is still coming out of your pocket. So that's comply, get staff vaxxed, and there's a liability issue potentially, okay? That's the cost for complying. Or you might end up losing customers who do not want to get jabbed and then cannot come into your store. So you are either going to potentially be liable for adverse reactions, and you are going to also lose out on trade from people who do not want to get jabbed. Now, the stats from what we're being told are that we're at 80% through to 95%, depending where you live in Australia. The conversations that I'm having, maybe I'm living in an anti-vaxxer bubble, but the conversations that I'm having with many, many, many people are that we're not at 80%. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. I don't know, because I can't go door to door and ask every single person. But let's say we're not. How many people are you about to lose walking through your door on the 17th because you refuse to serve anyone unless they show you their papers? And let's say we are at 80%, well then that's still at least 20% of your revenue that you are going to lose because people do not want to show their papers. So if you comply, there is going to be a cost, potentially a horrendous cost, at best, at least a 20% shortfall cost, okay? So there's a cost for doing nothing, there is a cost for complying, and there is also a cost for pushing back legally. And the cost for that is people who do not hold to the same narrative or to the same worldview that you as a business owner hold to, they may boycott your store. They may not want to come in if there are people in there who are unvaxxed and unmasked and, because you're going to make me sick, even though it has been proven and everybody agrees that the jab doesn't stop transmission, okay? So there is a cost to pushing back legally in that you may lose revenue from people who want to be able to show their papers, okay? There is also a cost for pushing back legally that although the law for medical privacy, for non-discrimination of you can't tell someone they can't come in and serve you, be served because of a medical condition, and a vaccination status does fall under a medical condition, you still, even though you're pushing back legally, you still may, because the government can't, it's like a little ant's nest. The government can't go and squash every single business owner. And there are a lot of business owners, may I add, that are all rising together, that are all saying at the same time, we do not comply. We do not agree, we will not comply. So the government can't squash everybody. The government can't go and arrest everybody. The government can't go and send health officers to everybody, but the government may send a health officer to you. And that will be a cost to you emotionally because it will be stressful. It also may be a cost to you time-wise. I was speaking to a woman the other day who actually did end up getting unlawfully arrested and put in a jail cell and harassed really by some not very nice police officers. And may I say, there are many police officers that are doing a wonderful, wonderful job. There was at least a dozen last night keeping us safe from a bunch of quite vocal protesters. So thank you to our Queensland Police Service. You are not all lumped in the same barrel. We honour you and we thank you for your service. However, you may have a health officer visit, you may get arrested, and you may have to face your day in court. And that does mean that there will be a legal cost, okay, potentially. Now, the idea of Fair Business Australia is to get so many businesses on board that we reach a critical mass that if someone does end up going to court, we pass the hat around and we all chip in together and we pay those legal fees. Why? Because it's setting a precedent for the rest of the small business community. And even if it gets thrown out of court, which quite a few cases have been thrown out of court because the judge just doesn't want to look at it. Because do I either uphold a public health order or do I uphold a law? Which one do I do? It's all a bit sticky. This is me explaining to you in layman's terms, please. I am not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. However, there have been cases that have been thrown out of court. Just a few weeks ago, we had BHP. 30 workers took BHP and they won their case. Huge for us little people that you could take a corporation that big to Fair Work and you could win. So we protect our business owners that are unfortunate enough to get a visit from the health officer. May I add that there is a mandate info pack that you can get through Fair Business Australia that will give you a script, pointers as to what you can say to the health officer if they come in and question you. But you have to be willing to pay the cost. That it is quite possible that once you start becoming a target because you are strong and stepping up, you may end up with your day in court. Now, as a business community, I hope that we have enough people that we can pass around the hat and we can cover your legal costs. And I hope that the lawyers that see what's going on right now will actually give their time at a fair price, not at exorbitant amounts of dollars per hour that business owners who have been shut down for 20 months cannot possibly come up with that kind of cash. But may I remind you again, you might end up, let's just say $2,000. You might end up paying $2,000 over here for legal representation if you end up going to court. But think of the publicity that will give to you. Think of how many people in the local community will want to rally around you and support you, because exactly the same thing happened for this woman that had the New Earth Cafe. The community and the amount of business that they had exploded. So you could almost think of that $2,000, and I don't want to be flippant, but you could almost think of that as a publicity game. That this is just getting me great publicity. This is giving me more advertisement than I ever could have paid for myself on Facebook or Google. Thank you, Channel 9. Thank you, Channel 7. Thank you, Woke Media. So either way, you are going to pay the cost. And as William Wallace said, would you rather be on your deathbed in 50, 60 years from now saying, I should have done something and I did nothing and I turned the other way, just like people did back in Nazi Germany, just like people are doing now with what's going on in Afghanistan. People are turning the other way. Don't be one of those people that does nothing, because you cannot sit on the fence with these mandates. It is impossible. You could comply and force your staff to get vaccinated, coerce them to get vaccinated, and potentially be liable if they have an adverse reaction. And you could lose a bunch of business from people who do not want to get jabbed and will unfortunately not be able to come into your store because you insist on them showing papers. Or you could choose to fight back legally, download the mandate info pack, get yourself tooled up. We are always adding to that info pack. As I get information, I disseminate it into information that you're able to understand. So not 17 pages worth of legal documents. I read through it, I cherry pick, I get the basic things so that you feel confident and courageous. It's not about you knowing everything there is to know about 17 pages. It's about you being able to stand strong and say to the health officer, these are the main points and this is why I will not comply. This is why I have chosen to not force my staff. This is why I have chosen to allow people to come into my store. It's about maintaining courage in people's hearts, okay? So over here, you will pay a cost as well, but it could end up being a very, very, very good cost. It could get you more business. You will sleep at night because you know that although this is an uncomfortable time, you know that you are not alone. There are thousands of other business owners. And by connecting with a centralized hub, which is Fair Business Australia, we can actually connect together to be able to pass around the hat and to also know that we're not fighting a guerrilla warfare. Together, as a big community, we are strong. And I am having some very, very, very poignant conversations behind closed doors with leaders. I'm talking political leaders, I'm talking financial leaders, I'm talking community leaders. It's very, very, very exciting. So as a business owner, you know that you must pivot. May I suggest that you pivot to list your business with Fair Business Australia? Come on board where there is a growing surge of business owners. Get us to where we're critical mass by adding your hat in the ring. And then when it's time for some business owners to be singled out, which is going to happen, we can all stand together. We can all chip in. We can cover one another's legal fees. Think about it this way. If you have even only 1,000 people on the platform and one business owner ends up with a bill of 10 grand, that's $10 each, guys, to win a precedent, to push back and to show the government that there is an Australian community that is growing, that is true blue, that says, no, we will not comply. We will not end up going towards a social credit system. We will not allow you to vaccinate our young and our little ones. How disgraceful. We must fight on this hill, folks. If we die on this hill, it's our children that will foot the bill if we lose this. So I would rather fight and pay the cost, because it's not going to last forever, folks. It's really, really not. And the sooner we all stand together now, the sooner we get the message across to the bureaucrats, all the people up in the upper echelons, wherever you sit on the conspiracy theory timeline, which ironically keeps coming true. So I think they need to remove conspiracy and theory and maybe just make it the news. So I've ranted on long enough. I said it was going to be a short video, but it wasn't that short. I apologize. List your business with us, guys. Come and join. Come and join what is an absolutely surge of true blue Aussie small businesses doing business together, doing community together. We have so many plans for this platform. We're going to be rolling out systems to ease unemployment and then to overcome unemployment. We're going to be rolling out a product-based marketplace so that we can be the not-for-profit alternative to Amazon. Imagine keeping trillions of retail dollars onshore instead of sending them off to foreign entities. Imagine what we could do with those kind of finances: manufacturing, agriculture, homelessness, all these different issues, domestic violence, all these different, family law court. Don't even get me started on family law court. Folks, we are hurting in so many different areas of society, and the way we fix it is through the power of agreement. A house divided cannot stand, but an army standing together with one heart and one voice, we cannot lose. And for the sake of our children, we must not lose. So my name is Rebecca, Fair Business Australia. Please list your business with us. Please share what we're doing. Please talk to your network about what we're doing, and chip in if you can, so that we can improve the platform, so that we can reach even more people, and so that we can actually start a kitty for if and when these fines start getting rolled out, so that we can push back legally, push back together as a community, and pivot as one heart and one voice, standing on the hill together for the power and benefit of the next generation. So I look forward to speaking with you soon. If you see me on the street, grab me, say hi. I would love to get to know you. Face-to-face conversations are absolutely the best, but until we're able to do that, video it is. So have a great rest of your day. Look forward to seeing you on the platform. Thank you so much. It's not going to last. Hold the line. Chat soon, and God bless.